Backpay denials for Vietnam-era vets who were given hallucinogens in secret experiments. The VA on how its decision to end union agreements will save millions and benefit veterans, and so much more.
With the person.
Just out here today down at the border.
Yes. If you look back in history, when we're
a powerful force.
We have helped put almost $2 billion in veterans' pockets, and it never seems to be enough.
Hey there, veterans. Welcome back to VETCOMM News, where we're keeping you in the know on veteran news, current events, and all the incredible work that we're doing right here in the VETCOMM community. I'm Rachel Hernandez. I'm the manager of communications here at VETCOMM, and as always, we've got a lot in store, so let's get right down to business. All right, so today I wanted to start with something a little bit different. I came across this article here with a headline that reads, Vietnam-era veterans given hallucinogens in secret experiments faced VA denials for back pay. Now, this article was written by Linda Hershey in Stars and Stripes earlier this month. Let's get into this right here. Veterans injured in secret military experiments that tested hallucinogens and nerve gas on young troops more than 50 years ago said that their renewed appeals for retroactive disability benefits are being denied, though a federal court redirected the payouts. So, it says the veterans are counting on a 2023 federal court decision granting full benefits to a 75-year-old Army veteran named Bob Taylor. Let's see, this says it's over injuries from the classified military experiments to bolster their own claims for disability compensation dating back to their discharges in the 60s and 70s. The Army experiments happened at Edgewood Arsenal in Maryland. The claims of illnesses and injuries range from severe PTSD and memory loss to hypertension and cancer. It says the compensation rate at a rate of 100% would result in six-figure payouts for these veterans, according to them. Nearly 8,000 soldiers served as human test subjects in the classified studies that the U.S. Army Chemical Corps conducted at Edgewood Arsenal. Though participation was voluntary, the veterans said that they thought they would be testing military equipment. All of the veterans denied had filed earlier claims, some even decades old, said Mark Jones, who's the lawyer representing 15 of these Edgewater veterans. He estimates that, our attorney that I'm telling you about now, he estimates that fewer than 3,000 of these veterans are still alive. It says the veterans were unwitting test subjects in experiments that involved administering hallucinogenic drugs and nerve agents, that according to court documents. And one of these veterans says that the drugs were identified only by numbers. The chemical substances were delivered in gas chambers, by injection, and other means. Now, the purpose was to evaluate the potential effectiveness of the chemicals administered in low doses as potential warfare agents. That, according to Senate hearings in the 70s. The service members had to sign secrecy oaths that banned them from discussing what happened under threat of criminal penalty. That oath was not formally lifted until 2011. One of these veterans says that he only learned years later that he was given a series of these hallucinogenic drugs. He said that he lost temporary eyesight in one of his eyes and that he initially sought medical help in Raleigh, at a VA hospital in Raleigh. It says the VA knew nothing about these experiments. In this quote right here from him, he said, "I was told that the test I took part in never happened." He says the records are sealed. I have no way to prove my case, and they thought I was lying. The VA deemed Rochelle unemployable in 2009 because of his persistent problems with concentration and memory loss since the experiments. The designation enabled him to receive 100% monthly disability compensation. Let's see, then we've got, in 2023, one of these veterans, I believe Bob Taylor, who I mentioned at the beginning of this article, he says, this article says, he was the first veteran to receive compensation back to his military discharge date for the injuries connected to this classified project. The court found that the Army's secrecy agreement violated his constitutional right to discuss his injuries with VA doctors, file claims with the VA, and obtain compensation for those injuries. So it says here that the VA also just denied his recent claim seeking disability payments back to his military separation date. Let's see, in 2009, one of the other veterans obtained 100% monthly disability compensation for his injuries. And we got a quote from one of them here that says, "But I want to be paid back to the day that I got out the Army." Okay, so the main takeaway from this article is that you've got, sounds like a good handful of these veterans who were trying to get their back pay for their disability claims for this back to the day that they left service or when, these drugs were administered to them and they were starting to have these effects from these drugs. The issue is that typically, now there's some cases where this isn't what happens, but typically your back pay starts when you filed your intent to file. So you file your intent to file, which is basically telling the VA that you are intending to file a claim. So you're setting the date right there when you get that in. And that's going to lock in when you're getting your back pay too. So that's kind of the main issue here, is they want it way farther back than that. So very interesting article here. I'm going to have it linked down below for you to read for yourself and to keep investigating if you want to. This is a very interesting article. I do recommend that you read this. All right, let's talk a little bit more about the VA ending most of its union agreements. We covered this about 2 episodes back, but now the VA is doubling down on this decision by announcing that it's redirecting millions of dollars in, quote, wasteful union spending back to veterans. Let's get into the meat and potatoes here. So it says that the VA spent more than $45 million supporting union activities in 2024. Resources will now be spent on care and services for veterans. Well, let's see what they mean by that exactly. So, to backtrack a little bit, on August 6th, the VA announced the termination of union contracts for most of its bargaining unit employees, reducing the number of VA bargaining unit employees from about 375,000 down to just 7,000. As a result of that decision, the VA is redirecting nearly $45 million per year in federal funds from unions to America's veterans by, we've got 3 reasons here, 3 ways that it's coming up with that $45 million. Number 1, generally ending taxpayer-funded union time. So, in 2024, the VA is saying that it spent $39.75 million in allowing a little bit less than 2,000 VA employees to spend nearly 750,000 hours working on behalf of government unions rather than VA beneficiaries. The vast majority of these employees are now back working full-time for the VA in positions they were hired to do, rather than performing work on behalf of the union. This includes more than 1,000 employees serving veterans in direct patient care roles. I know that's important to you guys watching. Number 2, they're reclaiming VA office space. It says that they have reclaimed over 180,000 square feet of office space worth approximately $5.4 million that had been provided to unions free of charge. This space will be repurposed to serve VA beneficiaries. The VA will also use this reclaimed space to expand administrative and clinical services in several facilities across the country. I think we have a little bit more on that down below in a little bit. And the last way, reclaiming VA IT equipment. Since August 6th, the VA has reclaimed from union reps more than 2,000 pieces of IT equipment worth approximately $600,000, which the VA had been providing free of charge. Now we got a few other little notes here that they included. It says that in fiscal year 2024, the following VA employees were on taxpayer-funded union time, performing work for unions instead of providing care for veterans. So we've got about 6 things here. It says more than 1,000 VA employees were in direct patient care roles, 6 registered nurses who collectively earned nearly $1.2 million a year in wages and benefits, 5 attorneys who collectively earned $1.25 million a year, 4 pharmacists who collectively earned more than $700,000 a year, 1 physician's assistant who earned $225,000 a year, and 1 veterans claims examiner who earned $190,000 a year. Now, this next part that's kind of interesting to me, when the VA announced earlier this year that it was going to be having its work from home employees come back to the office, I actually was speaking to someone who works remotely for the VA here in San Diego, and she was telling me that the reason why she doesn't want to go back to the office is there's just not room for her back at the office. That was her main concern. So this next part is a little interesting to me. It says now, under President Trump, the VA is bringing tens of thousands of employees back to the office where they can work better as a team to serve veterans. Now VA employees will have hundreds of thousands more square feet of office space to work in, including at, and these are the locations that it's talking about, the Salem VA Medical Center, where union leadership relinquished control of a 7,500 square foot office space that encompassed the entire wing of a building. The James H. Quillen VA Medical Center in Tennessee, where union leadership let go of a 3,800 square foot office space. And it says 11 other VA facilities across the country where union leadership let go of office spaces larger than 2,000 square feet apiece. And we end here with a quote from Secretary Doug Collins. He says, VA staff will now get to spend more time with veterans. VA facilities can focus on treating veterans, and the VA can manage its staff according to veterans' needs and national security requirements not union demands. So what do you think about that? You're the veteran watching this. Let me know what you think down below. All I know from my perspective is I did speak, like I said, to someone who was being put back in the office, and she said that there's just not enough space for her. We'll see what happens now. Moving on. All right, now in some exciting company news for you, we are excited to announce that we're now offering daily group C&P exam prep calls. Now, this is different than what we used to offer. So if you've never worked with us before, let me give you a little bit of a rundown of what we used to do. We used to do one-on-one individual coaching calls. And while that does seem great on the surface level, the issue that we were running into is that the VA will sometimes schedule these very last minute, and we weren't able to accommodate every veteran who needed that last minute guidance before their exams. And we would run into situations where our CEO, Kate Monroe herself, was getting on the phone with veterans to prep them before their exams because they were so last minute. But, we are the only organization that provides C&P exam prep. So, we want to live up to that when you're signing up for us. We don't want to have you missing out on that because we know that's a huge part of why you're choosing to sign up with us. So something that we're offering now is group calls Monday through Friday, twice a day. And what you're going to benefit from that are, I think, probably 4 main things. Number 1, you can attend as many as you want before your exam. So you're not just going to get one call before your exam, which, believe me, was helpful for a lot of our clients. But you can attend as many as you want. You just have to let your claim specialist or our customer service team know, and they'll get you set up. Okay, now number 2, something that you may not be aware of or something that you may be suspicious of is, well, I'm not going to get my questions answered because it's not one-on-one. I get why you're thinking that. The thing is, though, the veterans who have already done our group C&P exam calls have said the same thing, that they're getting questions answered that they didn't even think to ask, which we're hearing that across the board from most of the people that are taking them. So you're going to get not only your questions answered, you're going to get questions answered that you weren't even considering to ask. Number 3, you're going to get a little bit of camaraderie among other veterans who are kind of going through the same process that you're going through. So you see faces of real veterans who are doing this exact same process with us. Most of them might even be getting rated for the same thing that you're looking to get rated for. So you're going to hear a lot of, PTSD. You're going to hear a lot of mental health conditions, things like that. You're going to get a lot of really great prep regarding that. And lastly, you're going to be working with Raul Haro, who's a Marine Corps veteran who is going to be our C&P exam prep administrator. I think I've got some pictures of him here. We'll put him on the screen because you probably can't see this. But this is Raul. He's the sole person doing our C&P exam prep. So we've got our most knowledgeable guy on it. Like I said earlier, if you're a customer of ours who wants to get set up with that now, you can reach out to your claim specialist or you can reach out to our customer service team and they'll get you squared away with that. But if you're not signed up with us and you want to be, let me just remind you again, we're the only company that offers this C&P exam prep. So not only are you getting claim filing guidance and assistance, you're also going to get that exam prep that's really we're going to help you nail that exam. Okay, but of course, that's just one reason why we're a great resource for veterans. We're also the cheapest for-profit organization that's helping veterans get rated. We charge just a one-time upfront fee. We have payment plans and a money-back guarantee too. If you're finally ready to stop waiting and start rating, get on a free claim review call with our team by heading to vetcommus right now. And if you're new to this whole topic, or if you just have really burning questions, our CEO, Kate Monroe herself, is going live every Thursday at 3:30 Pacific time on all of our VETCOMM US social media platforms to answer your questions about VA disability claims. This is totally free, so why would you miss this chance to ask Kate your questions directly? That's all I've got for you guys today. Thanks for watching. VETCOMM news drops every Thursday, but in the meantime, we post a ton of other great informational content right here on our channel. So make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. I'm Rachel Hernandez. This has been VETCOMM News. We'll see you next time.